Hey everybody, my name's CAROLYN L, and I'm here to talk to you today about animals and about how much we love them and how much they're such an important part of cozy mysteries and about the stories that we tell because they're part of our life, right? So I'm going to tell you a little bit about a couple animals that I have in my stories and why they're in there. My best-selling series, I have four series that are cozy mysteries, is one called Ravenwood Cove. And Ravenwood Cove is kind of unusual because it shares, there are things that I've kept in Ravenwood Cove that have passed out of my life, whether it's been people I've loved, pets that I've have been so much part of my life, even something as simple as a old car that my late husband used to have. They're things that I kind of treasure and I'm able to put into this imaginary world of Ravenwood Cove that are preserved forever. And for those of us who love animals, you know how it's always sad when they're not with us anymore, but I can go back and visit them in Ravenwood Cove. So today I'm going to talk about two of them. And if you may actually see, I think she's sleeping. I have one of my animals back here on the bed. That's Petunia. Petunia's a pit bull that is a rescue pit bull. She's looking at me now. She's awake. And then my other animal is Daisy. Right now she's busted because she is in a crate for having gone into my kitchen, which is a no-no, and trying to counter surf, which is got her busted, and she's going to be in timeout for a bit. So I don't think she's going to be in this. Anyway, the first animal, so that's about my animals right now. My first animal I want to talk about is one called Oscar. And Oscar is a great big orange cat who winds up being in all of the Ravenwood Cove stories from the very first one. And there are 19 stories. The 19th is coming out soon for Ravenwood. So you can imagine that Oscar has a bit of a personality in those days. Let me go ahead and just get this for you here. And Oscar, besides being a cat, is exactly what every cat is, which he thinks he's in charge because, you know, he's a cat and he is. And everything revolves around him. So I'm just going to read you a little bit here about how Amanda meets him. And just so you know what's going on, Amanda's inherited this big whopping derelict old inn that's up on a cliff overlooking the Pacific Ocean. She has no money. She has a horrible ex-boyfriend that she left in LA, and now she's in the Oregon coast, one of my favorite places. And she's trying to figure out how she's going to make this whole new life work. Right when things are just seem to, she's getting a little bit of traction, something horrible and somebody isn't discovered in her garden. We'll leave that for another time. But here's how, after all of this chaos and all this crazyville, this is when she winds up meeting her new friend who's going to wind up being her roommate too. And she's taken a lunch break. She just needs a little bit of break from her contractor, Roy, going to get a little bit of downtime. And this is from the book, this is the old cover, by the way, Bed, Breakfast, and Bones. And let's get started. Flipping open the local paper, Amanda scanned the front page. Not much more news about Emmett. Emmett's the guy in the garden. But still, they'd made sure to take up as much space about it on the page as possible. Looks like the staff at the Ravenwood Cove was going to milk a rare crime story for everything they could. Blackout, compared to the announcement about Blackout Bingo Night to raise money for filling in potholes in front of the elementary school, and that the local Fishermen's Association was sponsoring an oyster eating contest, the excitement of a murder won hands down. As usual, Amanda ate her lunch outside on the front porch, taking a break from all the physical work and going over her list of things that still needed to be done. Sitting on the second step with her iced tea and a tuna sandwich beside her, she was adding a few things to her shopping list when she heard an unfamiliar scratching sound. She turned just in time to see a huge orange paw curl up from underneath the stairs and take a desperate swipe at her tuna sandwich, filling around a bit on the plate as if trying to hook its long claws into Amanda's lunch. "Hey!" she hollered, and the paw jerked back, disappearing under the painted boards. Amanda was silent, straining to hear any sound from her unexpected and obviously hungry guest, but hearing nothing. "Oh, you're going to play hard to get, are you?" she chuckled. Getting only silence in response, Amanda quietly gave her best cat-like meow. It had been years since she'd had a cat of her own, especially since Ken, that's the evil ex-boyfriend, had been terribly allergic and hadn't really liked cats. Any time she brought up the subject of getting a kitty, he'd look at her with his blonde eyebrows raised in shock as if she were an idiot and change the subject. She didn't miss Ken. There was a pause and then a small meow back from under the broad steps. When Amanda tried again, there was no answer, but she broke a corner off her sandwich, making sure there were plenty of fishy bits inside, and dropped it onto the grass at the side of the steps. She leaned over, hoping that a free meal might tempt the would-be sandwich thief out from under the porch and into the sunshine. After less than a minute, the broad head of a striped orange cat emerged, glancing upward to watch Amanda with suspicion before taking the extra 2 steps to wolf down the tasty tidbit. Amanda could see the cat was lean, too lean, and that it had no collar. When she made a little mewing sounds at it and then leaned forward to try to pet it, the cat hissed softly at her and quickly scrambled back to its hiding place. Huh, have your way, Mr. Kitty, she said, and pulled several more big chunks off her sandwich. She dropped them into the grass, close enough that the cat could smell them, and brushed the crumbs off her hands. I wasn't that hungry anyway. So much for making friends in Ravenwood, she thought. Seems like I can't make friends with either people or animals. Well, needless to say, that's not exactly what happens going forward, as obviously she makes friends there. And Oscar is just a force to be reckoned with, like all great cats. I have to admit, he's based on a cat of my own named Magellan. Magellan was a whopper. Maybe that's a fish story size whopper thing, but cat that actually had curly fur. He was a big orange cat who was pretty much in charge of where he lived. Now, the other animal that I have in my cozies, also in this series from Ravenwood, is also based on an animal I knew. I didn't even bother to change the name on this guy. And he's a rooster. Of all things, you don't think of a rooster as being a detective or as being helping an amateur sleuth, but this guy, Dumbcluck, definitely does. And Dumbcluck is based on Dumbcluck, the real life rooster that was dumped out of a car at my grandmother's farm. And he wound up just kind of wandering around the farm and knew when he'd get fed, and he wasn't very bright, which is why he got that name. But Dumbcluck in the Ravenwood books actually he's a big Welsummer rooster. Have you ever seen the Kellogg's Cornflakes box where it has a really colorful rooster with a colorful tail? They look like that. So you gotta kind of imagine that in your head. But so Dumbcluck winds up actually saving Amanda's life. And I'm not going to give it away how he does it, but he does what roosters do best. And he winds up he's annoying. This rooster is what roosters always do, which is crow about 4 o'clock in the morning, wake you up, wander around, get into your, the flower beds or whatever. But because of what he does, he winds up getting all of the harem that he can stand, and he gets all the chicken food he can have for life. Probably a lot of tidbits too. So even though the original Dumbcluck is long gone off to rooster heaven. This Dumbcluck, I think he's going to wind up showing up in just about every Ravenwood book because for a chicken, if you've ever had chickens before, and I have, yeah, they have personalities too. Anyway, so this is just a little tidbit about why I love animals and cozies. I love them when they're part of the detective team. I like them when they warn them, when they discover things, when they're just loving on a detective and making them feel better. I'm an animal lover and it shows. I am suspicious if you're looking at this, you probably are too. Anyway, I wanted to say thanks. This is my first live and my voice actually did hold out. My husband gave me his cold. God bless him. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I hope you have a great day. And I'll put a link to my Ravenwood books underneath this after it's all over and done with so that you could go in and see what I'm talking about. They're free and Kindle Unlimited to read. And I hope you love them. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.